Well, good evening, Community Board members, staff and members of the public, and welcome to this extraordinary meeting of the Martinborough Community Board. Due to COVID-19 restrictions, this meeting is being held via audio-video conference. All members participating via audio-video conference will count for the purpose of the meeting quorum in attendance with Clause 25B of Schedule 7 to the Local Government Act 2002. The meeting is being live streamed to Council's YouTube channel. The meeting will also be recorded and, subject to the recording being of suitable quality, will be made available to, on Council's YouTube channel via a link on Council's website. Now, did anybody have any extraordinary business that needed to be added to the agenda? Nope. Okay, great. Well, I have received apologies from Councillor Pip Maynard and from Michael Honey. I move that the apologies from Pip and Michael be received. Do I have a seconder? Please raise your hand. Thank you, Aidan. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Great. The motion is carried. Does anyone have any conflicts of interest to declare with regards to the items on the agenda this evening?
No.
Great. We'll move on then to our acknowledgements and tributes. I would just like to acknowledge Diana Creswell, who has passed away, long-standing from a long-standing family and also a long-standing member of Martinborough, and her work in the community and at Wharekaka, will always be remembered. So did anyone else have any acknowledgements or tributes that they would like to make? No. Great. Well, we'll move on then to public participation. So this evening we have one speaker, which is Clem Beck. So you will have 5 minutes to speak. Steph will raise a finger to the camera when you have 1 minute left, and she'll make a T at 5 minutes for when time is up. Just a reminder that as per Standing Order 14.15, speakers need to be respectful towards elected members and staff. So I would like to welcome Clem Beck on the closure of Tailwhite Reserve for Overnight campaign.
Thank you, Mel. Thank you for the opportunity to address the Martinborough Community Board at this extraordinary meeting. My theme tonight is trust, and my quote is, "Trust, they say, is hard won, but easily lost." If you want to know where it comes from, it's from the G.J. Gardner ad on TV. Last Thursday evening, we sat through a marathon meeting of the Martinborough Community Board, which was dominated by the CEO, Mr. Harry Wilson, and his continuous and repeated justifications for closing the camping grounds at Tora. Despite admitting that he had visited the camping grounds in February of 2021, when his concerns were raised at possible flooding. My question is, why has it taken until October 2021 for him to raise these concerns? Was he not concerned that people would camp overnight during Easter and Queen's birthday and weekends in between? Why is the decision 2 weeks before Labour weekend so critical? I would urge all people interested in this subject to read the attachments to this meeting listed on the South Wairarapa District Council site from page 191 onwards to familiarise themselves with the correspondence between the CEO and the Martinborough Community Board and decide for themselves if we or the Martinborough Community Board should trust our CEO. From my own perspective, the CEO did not meet his own responsibility of care by refusing to meet with the Martinborough Community Board as promised at the last meeting, and by refusing to take into account the many valid and practical suggestions to mitigate the perceived risk to manageable and practical life-saving measures suggested by the Martinborough Community Board. My trust was further shattered when the CEO revealed to the Martinborough Community Board meeting details of conversations between himself and people involved in this issue, which he openly admitted were told to him in confidence, and he was asked not to divulge them. All this in order to justify a decision he had obviously already made.
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Sorry.
Excuse me, Clem.
Yes.
Madam Chair, does that reflect what standing orders say for? Because
Under
we're not
section
talking about
14.
the. Clem, I understand what you're trying to say, but it seems that you're pointing the finger at Mr. Wilson and he hasn't got the right of reply. So, yeah, I just wasn't sure whether.
I'm trying to highlight, Pam, the process that has gone on, and if the blame lies there, well, I didn't say that.
Sorry, you're going to go on, Clem, if we can just stick to the issues and what the facts and just and not the individuals, be great.
Well, if I can, in order, yeah, okay. Indeed, I have been informed by a reliable source that the CEO, Mr. Wilson, had already had the signs made for the camping ground closures prior to the meeting of the 7th of October and his decision published on the 11th of October. It is a huge concern to ratepayers and residents of the South Wairarapa if we cannot trust our confidences to be held in trust in our dealings with the CEO. I would also wish to point out that both at the Martinborough Community Board meeting of the 7th of October and on the South Wairarapa District Council website, Mr. Harry Wilson stated that he was acting on the GWRC Greater Wellington Regional Council's decision to close the camping grounds despite the Greater Wellington Regional Council representative stating repeatedly that it was not the decision of the Greater Wellington Regional Council. I'm concerned that if the CEO cannot receive and correctly utilise the advice given to our council.
Excuse me, Clem.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of issues there that you're wanting to raise, and we've been advised about the standing orders and what the process is for public participation. There's certainly a lot of concerns and issues which you raise and the community raises, and certainly the community board is aware. I think by personalising those issues, that's in breach of our standing orders. Yeah, while it's a topical subject, I mean, we all want to get to the bottom of this, and hopefully we will do in the future, in the very near future.
Okay, I appreciate what you're saying, Aidan. So I'll leave out my bit about council meetings under COVID conditions. And just as a footnote, I'd like to compliment and encourage the Martinborough Community Board for their diligent and positive work in seeking a conclusion to this matter, which satisfied the requirements and safety and community. I'll leave that bit out perhaps, because again, it perhaps is personal.
Thank you, Clem.
And in conclusion, I'll go back where I started and finish. Trust, they say, is hard won, but easily lost. Thank you.
Great. Thanks very much for that, Clem. Do any members have any questions for Clem?
No.
Thanks for your time and submission, Clem. Yeah, we're
Thank
certainly
you.
gonna. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks, Clem.
we appreciate it. so that you are aware, just following the questions, that public will be excluded from the Zoom meeting. It's part of the new process that's being put in place. Everyone is welcome to watch the live meeting on YouTube via the council's webpage. So that's something new that's going to be happening, so that we can all continue on with discussions as we go. So thank you again, Clem, for your time this evening.
Can I just ask a point of clarification there, Mel, please?
Yeah.
Does that mean that we cannot watch the meeting tonight? We have to wait till it's listed on the South Wairarapa District website?
No, it's a live meeting, so it actually runs
fine.
live on YouTube.
Thank you.
Okay.
See ya.
Thanks very much.
Thanks,
Clem.
Clem.
Alrighty. Great. So the matters which have been raised by Clem, as Aidan said as well, it's all of course very topical, but we will be considering this under agenda item 10.1, topic 4 on the chairperson's report. Did anyone have any other actions or anything that they wanted to discuss? Actually, I don't think there is anything from that. We'll move that forward into the chair report. Okay. Great. So we'll now be considering the minutes from the 16th of August 2021 meeting. Are there any corrections to either of the minutes? To the minutes? Everyone's okay? Oh. So do I have a mover that the minutes and public excluded minutes of the Martinborough Community Board meeting held on the 16th of August 2021 be confirmed as true and correct record? Thank you, Nathan. Do I have a seconder? Please raise your hand. Yes.
Excuse me, Mel.
Yeah.
You've mentioned public excluded minutes. Did we have public excluded minutes in our last community board meeting on the 16th of August?
No, there isn't any on there. Sorry, that must have come through from, must have had that on there from the last.
Yeah, sorry, I think that was from an earlier meeting.
From an earlier meeting where we had the Payne estate thing. Thank you. Thanks for that, Steph.
I'll second.
Yep, so you'll second the minutes as they stand.
If we remove public excluded.
Yep, with no public excluded information. Thank you for that, Aidan. So all those in favour, please raise your hand. Great, the motion is carried. Right. So we'll move on now to the Chief Executive and Staff report, starting with the Martinborough Pump Track report, which is pages 8 to 62 of our agenda this evening. Do I have a mover first to receive the report? Thank you, Pam. And do I have a seconder? Please raise your hand. Thank you, Nathan. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Great, the motion is carried. Can we have one of the council officers to please speak to the Martinborough Pump Track report?
I'll introduce it, and then if there are any questions, Bryce is here to answer those. So you recall Charlotte Harding and public participation raised the process of getting support and progress for the pump track. So this report is a follow-up to that request. There's information here about the proposal. It is a concept. There's nothing actually anchored down in terms of design, simply just to get support from the Martinborough Community Board. And Charlotte also requested what the next step would be from the Community Board's support to the concept, and those are listed in the conclusion, which include further development of the pump track concept, community funding, long-term financial implications, a consultation and engagement plan, a report to the Assets and Services Committee seeking support from Assets and Services, which is then in return reported to council and following as public consultation. So you heard the details of the concept from Charlotte last time, but if any questions we can help with, please go ahead.
Great. So did anyone have any questions around the stump check report for Harry this evening? Yes, Aidan.
Sorry, Harry, you just sped through. I'm just wondering, could you go through the process again? My shorthand wasn't that flash.
It's written down, Aidan. It's in the paragraph 711, the next
Sorry,
steps.
What pages?
14, Harry. Yeah.
14, yeah. Sorry, I'm working from the old, the 16th agenda, so I'm not sure if it's different. Yeah,
okay.
Page 14.
All right. So
Yep.
7 conclusion, 7.1.1 next steps, right?
Yep.
Is the next steps, yeah. So essentially, it's just looking for your support, and then we take it to the assets and services and take it from there.
Great. Can we ask if in the next steps, you know, as this moves forward, like you've got step one was the further development of the concept, community funding long term, can we have that brought back to our table at the Martinborough Community Board?
Certainly.
With the information is complete?
Sorry, Nathan.
You're right. Yeah, through you, Madam Chair.
Yeah, sure.
I've received some correspondence from a resident that lives on Princess Street in regard to I think we've all seen the email from Finn Roberts. Has everyone seen that?
Yes, I saw it.
Mel, I think I sent it to Aidan as well.
Yeah.
Forwarded it on. Just in regard to a few of the issues in regard to what has been.
Sorry. Have you forwarded it to me?
I thought I had, but I can do, Pam. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Just outlining a few issues that he could see. I will definitely forward this email on because he has gone over it. And I think he's got some great ideas, especially on possibly where it could go, and some of the other stuff in regard to the outline for the park, and if it actually ties in with the
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, with the management plan of the park.
Yeah,
I think you've got this email as well, Bryce.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Yeah.
And look, as it said in there, we haven't actually made a firm decision on where it's going in the park yet. It was just a concept plan to get the motion going.
Yeah.
That'll come back once we go through the consultation period.
Yes, cool. I was just aware of that. Yeah.
Yeah, we felt that, you know, the group started to do a bit of fundraising, and we thought that, and Pam was involved with us, that you know how rumours start, and all of a sudden the neighbours start panicking. So Charlotte and Pam went and knocked on some of the doors across the road from Considine Park just to tell them what's going on and how we're focusing on it. Finn sent me an email with his concerns, and as I said, we haven't made a firm decision on where it's going in the park yet. It may not even be going down that end of the street, so we just don't know.
Yeah. I'm in Taupo at the moment. We're at lucky me, the weather's not that great. But we're at the holiday park today, and I just out of the corner of my eye saw a little pump track that the holiday park has got down here. So I'll probably go back there and check it out, and might be able to bring some more stuff to the table.
Yeah, I've probably got that anyway. Nathan, I've done a lot of research on the pump parks, and I think Taupo is one of them. So
yeah,
I'll probably have, but feel free to bring it back because I haven't. Look, we're trying to focus on the kids at the age of, let's say, 8 to 15, where there's a huge gap in Martinborough for them for something to do. And so we're just trying to, that's where Charlotte and their group are focusing on.
Bryce, could I just clarify one point? Bryce, unfortunately, I wasn't with Charlotte.
Oh,
when
okay.
She visited the neighbours the day that she chose. I wasn't available, and so she went and saw the neighbours on her own, but hasn't. She was going to give me some feedback on that, but she hasn't done so. Yeah.
No, okay. I've had a meeting with her about the feedback, and we can talk about that later, Pam.
Thank you.
Through you, Madam Chair.
Yeah, sure, Aidan.
Sorry, apologies. I've just had to cut my camera because I was losing sound from you folks. So I'll just try and save a bit of data. It's probably my 16-year-old son that's using all the data right there, I guess.
I had the same problem, Aidan. Well, I don't have a 16-year-old son, but data's a problem out here in the country.
A family issue.
I think that sorry, Alex, I know that you're sitting there. So I know that that Finn has put quite a detailed document and email through and done quite a bit of research.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if we could perhaps communicate or send some correspondence out to him to appreciating his time and effort that he's put through so far, and assure him that we will look into those matters through the process.
So, Aidan, just so you know that I've already done that, but
sorry,
I
Bryce.
take it. No, it's good. I always respond to them, but you probably should do through the board anyway. But I have put some concerns to Finn and said that we'll keep him in the loop, and it was, and we'll, if it goes, it's going to go to consultation anyway. So,
yeah, perfect. Hey, I did just note too that it still holds the old South Wairarapa District Council logo on the Centennial and Constantine Park management plan. So
yes, all our management plans are behind. We know that. It's just it's staff, it's staff and time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Hey, Alex, have you got anything to add about the pump track, being of that age?
Not really. I think it's a great idea, and look through the concept drawings here in the agenda. I think it's a really good idea, and I totally put my support behind the idea. I think it's going to be awesome, especially for the youth of Martinborough, really.
Yeah, and the age group, cool.
And part of the brief that I've given Charlotte is that we try and make it as maintenance free as we can. So if the community is going to fund it, we want to make sure that council's not paying for it, too much in the long term. So we're looking possibly at concrete track, gardens, bark, and stuff like that. So they're onto it. They know what they're looking for.
Yeah, great. So lower maintenance, but still safe.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's great. Well then,
Madam Chair,
can we now
say something, please?
Are you sure? Sure, Pam.
Hi, Bryce. Is it possible, if Alex is willing, could he be seconded to the Considine Park user group for this project if he would like to be involved in it?
Well, it'd be good to have a young fella in there or young lady in there anyway, so it's not a bad idea, Pam.
Yeah.
Look, we're similar to the Wheels Park in Greytown, right at the beginning of once we get approval and stuff, we get a design built, and we actually engaged Coronary College, we engaged the primary schools, and we'll do the same here. So we get the actual input from the children of what they want. It's not the adults that's going to make the decision type of thing. We'll do the fundraising, they'll do the fundraising, they'll organise the build, but most of it will come back from the kids.
Okay. And then thank you. And Alex, if you want to do that, just be part of that, then just sing out and we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a great idea.
Fabulous. Now, my other question is, we're talking in here on page, whoops, hold on, I'm just trying to use two computers. Are we talking about the track surface and the size of that? And then it goes on to say that there's environmental design and additional service, and this initiative is going to be further developed. Is that the maximum size of the park or of the track, or is that likely to increase in size?
No, I doubt whether it'll increase in size. yeah, because funding is an issue there. And as I say, it's extremely early days. So this is just a concept plan that was put together just to get the ball rolling. They are going to engage a designer once they get the okay. They don't want to waste the money now and find it's cancelled. So we will be keeping it down to a minimal size because Considine Park is becoming a multi-use park now with sport. So we can't afford to lose too great a space for one. So you know what I'm talking about, Pam. We've discussed this before.
Yeah. That's what I was just a little bit concerned about, and I just thought I'd bring it up. Yeah.
No, that's fine.
Thank you.
Did anyone else have any questions around the pump track? Aidan, I can't see you, so I don't know if you're okay. There he is.
Yeah, sorry, I just switched my video off.
No, fair enough. Did you have any questions?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. Perfect. Well then, can we now just consider the recommendations 2 and 3 that are outlined in the Martinborough Pump Track Report? Recommendation 2 was to note the significance of Centennial and Considine Park and the activities which are permitted under the Centennial and Considine Park Management Plan. And recommendation 3 was to recommend that the Martinborough Community Board support the pump track initiative. And I think I would just like to add the words in concept on the end, because it's just the stage that we're at, and we really want to keep this coming back to our table so we can make sure that, you know, everyone's all aware of it. Does that sound okay in concept, or has anyone got anything else?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Like, we want to know if people are going to use it. There's no point doing putting a pump track in if, you know, one or two people are going to use it. It could be a fad. Who knows?
Yeah.
But it could be, yeah.
Right, and
If you build it, they will come.
it'll be good to have Alex here on that in that discussion too, I think, which will end it.
Or any further development or something like that. Any further development, something like that.
Yeah. So so to recommend that the Martinborough Community Board support the pump track initiative. Did you say in development? Right.
Oh, I just said it, and plus notified of any further development or something like that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So in concept and notified of any development. Is that okay with you, Steph? If you got that one?
That's fine now. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Well then, do I have a mover to accept these recommendations? So I'm just going to read them out again so that we've got them. So recommendation 2, to note the significance of Centennial and Considine Park and the activities permitted under the Centennial and Considine Park Management Plan. And recommendation 3 is to recommend that the Martinborough Community Board support the pump track initiative in concept and be notified of any development. Do I have a mover to accept these recommendations? Thank you, Nathan. And do I have a seconder? Thank you, Pam. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Great, the motion is carried. So moving on to the Waihinga Project Lessons Learned Report, pages 63 to 86 of tonight's agenda. Do I have a mover first to receive the report? Thank you, Aidan. And do I have a seconder? Thank you, Nathan. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Great, the motion is carried. So we'll have a, can we have one of the council officers speak to this report?
Yep. Thanks, Mel. Actually, I think it's very timely that this follows on from the pump park concept. So obviously this is a review of the project and its execution, but there's some quite interesting information in this about partnership with the community, particularly in as one of the recommendations here is to note the lessons identified. And if you go to page 78, 19.1, one of the key lessons is develop a strong partnership with the community to get buy-in from the beginning by the way of consultation and partnership that plan that continues to completion. And, it's exactly the discussion you've just had on the pump park. So, but in summary, a successful, very successful project. Unusual. It's very unusual for community groups and the community to invest so heavily in a council facility and to put the community expertise into a project of this nature. Again, there's comment about the diversity and wide range of expertise our communities do have, and if we can harness them and work in partnership, we're able to achieve wonderful things. So so I really do want to acknowledge the work of the trust. Quite exceptional. You know, the project was delivered on time, sorry, on budget, not on time, but actually not through the fault of the trust. It was just a number of circumstances that occurred, but a very successful project, a great asset to the community. From a project management point of view, a little bit tricky to learn lessons given the complex nature of the trust managing this, which is acknowledged in the report. But there are still lessons to learn. We've also, Calibre also delivered to us a project management framework as a result of this that we can apply to projects such as the pump park, such as other projects as well. So all in all, I think a very useful exercise to look backwards and learn and be able to see what we can always do better. Are there any particular questions about the report itself?
I did just note that on page 77 that you know, they did talk about the fact that if you are going to allow any type of I guess you're right. I mean, this was a community you know, driven and trust driven project. No, I mean the Waihinga Centre Trust to drive this to completion and absolutely commend them on their work. It's just that it did mean that, you know, it says here that there was a lack of reporting to council and council briefings, which I think is really important because council did lose oversight and weren't managing and then didn't have the information when asked for that information. So I think that's probably an incredibly key lesson that's from this report.
So Mel, were you referring about council reporting? Was that the paragraph? If you're referring to paragraph 6?
On page 77, section 15 in the communication.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I was looking at 16. Okay, because funny enough, when Ian McIntosh presented to the assets and services on this, he said it was one of the strengths in the project was the oversight and the drive, particularly in the organisation. So just have a look at that.
Could be, because no, there's quite a bit of seems to be when people have asked for information, it hasn't been available to them. That's just something that's been said at
absolutely
our earlier community board meetings as well. So I think that was probably the most important. I think it's really important to take into consideration, as you said, all those things about community and engagement is exactly the song that we've all been singing now for the last couple of years, about ensuring that the community are brought with the council on projects that they want to undertake within our community spaces. So that's really great to see that on there. Did anyone else have any questions for Harry or comments regarding the Waihinga Project Lessons report?
Through you, Madam Chair. Harry, could I just ask, presumably for a project such as this, there would have been a business case generated, and I'm wondering as to whether if there was a business case, was it included in part of this lessons learnt project to see if the benefits of that business case have flowed through and actually been achieved?
I'm aware there was, in the early documentation, there was the initial feasibility report, which I think is the nearest thing to what you and I would now know as a business case. And so that was part of the documentation that was reviewed as part of this review, Aidan?
Aidan, you're on mute. Yeah.
I can't multitask. Sorry. So there was the original version of a business case. You were saying, Harry, which would have been reviewed for this process.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. But then in the process, I haven't read anywhere to say that it says that those goals from the business case have been achieved. I was also wondering, what about the financial goals or outcomes which would have been set out in that documentation? There's no mention that they've been achieved either.
I mean, the project was delivered within the budget that was approved by council, Aidan. So that there wasn't any scope or cost overrun, and that's reported in the report.
Yep, I saw that. I was just sort of wondering. So I mean, with the lessons learned, I would have tell about some of that. I mean, everybody starts a project and writes a plan, and then wants to go down that path, and then ultimately, sometimes those plans achieve their goals and aspirations. At times they don't, and then in review or in a debrief, or then which is essentially what this is, or I view, that's studied and worked out as to why things worked well and why things didn't work well. Certainly, this lessons learnt does identify issues and makes some recommendations and comments. However, there's some issues that the report doesn't touch on whatsoever.
Aidan, could I say something there? Or Harry, could I say something?
Yes, please.
I think the goals, if I remember correctly, the goals of the trust were to deliver a building or a project that would enable greater use of the old town hall for the wider community. And I think that they achieved that by incorporating the library, the CAF, the Plunket, the toy library, and the
information
making the town hall itself a more user-friendly facility for everybody, no matter what age or ability they had, to be able to use that building. The benefit for the community was that there was an awful lot of fundraising done, and there was not as much call on council or ratepayers' money, and they brought it in on the budget that had been approved by council. And I think that all of those things combined make it an absolutely fabulous project, considering the amount of free time in hours and hours of work that those people in the community put into overseeing the project, and to maybe even changing something slightly to meet the budget, to be able to get the materials and things like that they needed to get it in on time. Yeah. I'm not sure that answers your question, but it,
So Harry, at the start of paragraph 16, titled documentation, the first paragraph there is that there is a concern that council has an apparent lack of records of the project. apart from the consideration of the rating proposals to enable the council to respond to Legoima requests, no one seems to have been tasked with keeping the records filed in one place. So as a result of that, what is there going to be some new practices or processes implemented? So
yes, I mean, that's in the lessons learned, but if you go further, the records were there, but they were with the trust. And so, because remember, it was the trust that was charged with delivering the project, not council itself. So the detail of the costings, all that type of stuff was sitting with the trust, not council itself. But the lessons learned certainly highlights that the need to make sure there's parallel information that sits with council as well.
So there has been in the past Legoima requests asking from the community over the last 2 or 3 years, asking for information about the financial records. However, because that was held by, so you're saying that because that information was held by the trust, the council was not able to release that under Legoima?
And we could release the information on the permission of the trust, and they gave permission for us to release the information that we had.
Sorry, I've just had to cut myself out because.
Yeah, Aidan, just to come back to your point on the business case and the discussion, Pam was briefing the community on section 4 of the report, the project scoping, talks exactly what Pam was referring to, that there was, the community was involved in the staging of the design. There's also a specific reference to that each stage wasn't allowed to proceed until the goals were achieved for each stage, which was part of your question.
And Madam Chair, can I just say something to back up what Pam was saying on the usage of the building? Because that's through
Yes,
the venues
definitely,
team.
Bryce.
You'll be lucky to have a weekend available between now and Christmas.
Yeah.
In fact, over our shutdown period, the hall is booked out. So this week alone is completely booked out right through till next Monday, and it's all from different users. So it has become the go-to place for events and meetings. It's been great.
No, that's fantastic. I will just add too that I personally, I've absolutely noted that the success and the layout and the usage, in it. I use pretty much all aspects of the hall and really love it. Yeah.
Through you, Madam
Nathan.
Chair.
Sure.
In regard to number 7, project governance and management, I see there's a comment there in regard to Vicky Reid saying that she provided services on a voluntary basis, and some other documentation that I think we got earlier on in the piece. Her company had received, like, I can't remember what the figure was. It could have been $60,000, $80,000. So I'm not sure how that becomes voluntary. Can you answer that one, Harry, please?
Yes, I can. It's in the role of the project coordinator. So the voluntary work related to being the project coordinator.
Right. Okay.
That's specific.
Oh, okay.
To the role.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
That's great. It was, I think it is really important that they're just, I guess, through the loss of oversight, was very, very lucky when most of the skills that were being applied to the project came from within the community, that there was no loss of, I guess, a number of key people. Probably only would have taken a few for that. So good on them for sticking through, and seeing it through to such a successful end as well. It's really great to at least have this report, Harry. Like, it is something that has been key and contentious. To get this out into the community is a really positive piece of work.
Thank you. And as I just reiterate that, with the projects like the pump park, these lessons learned are exactly the things that we need to apply with each of these projects as we go forward.
Great. Great. Did anyone else have any anything further they wanted to add around this report? Okay, so I've just put in here the recommendation 2, which is outlined in this report, to note the lessons that have been identified. Do I have a mover to accept these recommendations? Sorry, can't see everyone.
Madam Chair, if we're just noting them, I don't think we have to vote on them. Could Steph just clarify that, please?
Do we
So
need a
you-
recommendation?
Yeah, if you want to make a recommendation and have it recorded in the minutes, you will need to vote on that. Otherwise, it would be left out.
Oh, otherwise we can just say that we note those lessons learned. Do you mean, is that right, Steph?
Yeah, we can note it in the minutes if you prefer to do it that way, since it's not a decision.
Okay. Oh, no, that's perfect. Thank you, Pam.
No, thanks to Steph, she clarified it.
Great. Well, moving on now to the then to the Hinekura Road Erosion and Landslide Remediation Report. Now, this is pages 87 to 126 of tonight's agenda. Do I have a mover to receive the report? Thank you, Pam. And do I have a seconder? Thank you, Nathan. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Great, the motion is carried. Can I please have one of the council officers speak to the Hinekura report, please?
Thank you. I had to present this report to Assets and Services as Ewan had left. So so there were 2 reports presented to Assets and Services. One is the Geotech Report, and the second is the remediation plan from Greater Wellington Regional Council, which David Boone spoke to very well at the Assets and Services Committee. Yeah. So the key here is that as has been previously reported, this is a management issue. There isn't an easy fix to this solution. A lot of the work is in stabilising the hillside. One of the key points that David mentioned in the remediation plan is that the actions here are sequential. The timing relies essentially on the first step, which is to work with the landowner to relocate the supply dam. We are working with the landowner on that as we speak. In terms of monitoring, Ben Turner actually goes out and monitors the road virtually every day, just to keep an eye on it, particularly around periods of rain. Stephen is here. Stephen is our new Partnerships and Operations Manager. He's been getting over his head around this because we want to make sure that we have a good project plan. I think David Boone also did mention that some of the timing isn't, you can't be too granular, so it's within a certain week's time frame rather than a specific date because of weather conditions and various things. But we want to be able to have a project plan that makes it clear that in terms of the remediation, the works to the community, what we're doing, when, and so we can report regularly to them and update them on where that's going. Stefan, do you have any comments you'd like to
add? No, I think you've covered the main points there. I mean, the only other things that we're doing at the moment is we're removing some of the older planting that's been trees that have been destroyed in the landslide, and we're identifying new stability points along the site where we're going to replant. And just on communications, yeah, we will be providing regular updates to the community also, in addition to the Hinekura Road community email group, which is our primary source of communication with affected landowners.
Okay. Great. I saw it. I saw on there that because they've offered the Greater Wellington Regional Council their assistance to get work done starting as soon as possible. And I just wondered, we're into spring and whether or not, this was happening, the planting and things, you've identified some trees, but just from that, I guess around putting something in the dirt to hold it all together, is there a plan of attack for that?
I know they've been planting poplars as a start. They've let us know that. Yeah, so work is going, but the crucial thing is actually relocating the dam, taking the pressure off the hillside. It's the critical first step, as in per the remediation plan. And also, can I just mention that GWRC are also funding 50% of the remediation and the relocation of dam, which is very generous of them, and a good saving for ratepayers.
Okay. Did anyone have any questions?
For you,
yep, Aidan.
Madam Chair. We had asked the questions if there was like a plan B or a plan C, and you said that there was work going to be taking place with investigating an alternate route.
Right.
Has there been any progress on that?
Yep. So what we'll be doing, and I'll confirm when we're doing it. So we're flying a drone over the. Tim actually did speak to this at the last report. So the bottom of the hillside's not an option. It would have to go around and over. And so we're flying a drone to get LiDAR, to get close graphic information to understand the geology of the alternative route, so that we can actually get a feel for what the costings and what the possibilities are. But yeah, so that's the first step.
Now, the Geotech Report, there's some information there. Is there still monitoring occurring from the Geotech side of things, or the report that they've submitted, the information that we've got here, is that the end of their involvement at the moment?
No, the monitoring's still there. So this is in fact, I think there's a section in it. Sorry, just forgive me when there is. I mean, there's piezometers that are already in the ground that we're getting data from in terms of the hillside stability. I just can't find the particular reference. Let me get back to that one, Aidan.
So do those devices send information, or do they record information and rely on somebody going and reading them?
I don't know the answer to that. I'll have to find out and get back to you, but I would assume that's limited.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just sending the information.
Great, thanks. And there had been previous discussions about having a meeting perhaps out there at Hinakura with affected residents. Has there been any more discussion or progress or planning for something like that to occur?
Stephanie, you were able to answer that? I think our intent was to get the project plan, which Stephen's movie's only just started, and it won't take them too long, so that we've got something that we can give people a timeline, which is really what people want to know. And so just give Stephen a few minutes to get his feet under the desk, and we can do that.
Great.
Thank you.
So that's the meeting with residents.
Yeah.
And Hinakura. Okay. I just want to reiterate, if we can just keep the community board involved and included in those, I guess even just the updates, the email updates, as well as if there is going to be a meeting. I think we'd all like to attend to support our residents out there too.
Yeah, with pleasure.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else have any questions or comments regarding this report? No. Okay. Again, there's some recommendations that have been listed on there. We've just been asked to note the Greater Wellington Regional Council's erosion and landslide remediation plan and that all recommendations identified in this report will be carried out within existing council budgets. Recommendation 3 is to note the WSP consultant Hinikuta landslide July 2021 assessment memo. And recommendation 4 is to note that council officers will continue to work closely with Greater Wellington Regional Council and WSP consultants to come up with a final risk mitigation strategy for 1673 Hinikuta Road. So I think we're able to note those, but if anyone wants to, move to recommend and note them, we can change. They're fine just to be noted. Is that okay, Steph? Do we just note them?
Good idea, Madam Chair. Sorry, and Harry, once you're finished, Mel, could I just ask Harry one more question at the end?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. We haven't finished this section yet. So if you've got another question about that, now's the time, Aidan.
Sorry?
Yeah, no, go for it. Now's the time.
Okay. Harry, it's been a long and drawn out process, and we first started raising this at our community board meetings in September last year. Going forward, how can we improve so that when things are noted and reported to us at the community board and we bring them to the community board table, how can things improve going forward so that it doesn't end up like a big, not so much catastrophic event, but a big event in June or July in the middle of winter with that rainfall and the community being cut off. I feel that we raised this a number of times and we received some answers, we received no answers, but I would just be keen to see how we can, how the process can be improved going forward.
Absolutely, Aidan. So obviously Stefan's here. He's our new manager who will be responsible for reporting these things. So he's heard this message loud and clear. And we'll keep the community, and again, what Mel has said, let's keep the community board well and truly in the loop on what is happening and the updates.
Okay. Great. So, Steph, are we okay to move on with that? With the motions carried?
There have been a few noting recommendations put forward. If the board does want to formally accept those and note those in the minutes, then there should be a resolution made around that with the normal process.
Awesome. Okay, thanks. Well, in that case, I actually would like to go ahead and formally note these recommendations. So the first one, recommendation 2, is to note the Greater Wellington Regional Council erosion and landslide remediation plan, and that all recommendations identified in this report will be carried out within existing council budget. And recommendation 3 is to note the WSP consultants Hinikuta landslide July 2021 assessment memo, and recommendation 4 to note that council officers will continue to work closely with GWRC and WSP consultants to come up with a final risk mitigation strategy for 1673 Hinikuta Road and keep the Martinborough Community Board in the loop. Do I have a mover to accept these recommendations? Thanks, Nathan. And do I have a seconder? Thanks very much, Aidan. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Great. All those against, please raise your hand. Okay, no. So the motion is carried. Thanks. Okay. Where am I? I think I've just here. Okay, so moving on, I think I've lost the page here. Honeycurl Road. So the next thing is the officers' report. Do I have a mover to receive the officers' report? Thank you, Pam. And do I have a seconder? Thank you, Nathan. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Great, and the motion is carried. Members, are there any questions on the officers' report?
Madam Chair, could I draw your attention to a couple of things? And also, it would be great while Bryce is here, because if you read through, particularly the amenities section, there's quite a bit of work that's been done that relates specifically to Martinborough, waste management, the pool, and things. So what it was, main thing I want to draw your attention to is on page 143, which is leakage in the system across the South Wairarapa. Martinborough is actually improving significantly in terms of total night flows, which is how we measure the total leakage through the system. You'll actually see that on page 142, 143, there's a graph that shows Martinborough relative to Featherston and Greytown. So I think that's a really significant achievement, because it's one of those things where people see a lot of leaks and they just assume the situation is getting worse and worse and worse. But actually, despite the number of leaks that are being reported and being fixed, the actual trend is moving very quickly down. Right. And so that's actually very good. And so I just wanted to draw the committee's attention to that. And just thought it would be very nice for Bryce just to highlight some things from the amenities report specifically to the committee, and then take any questions. Bryce.
Yeah, thanks, Harry. I'll just scrub down there. It's down the bottom somewhere. Some highlights. So we are retiling Featherston pool, and we're utilising, and we're also getting new tiles for the Martinborough pool. So we're using the same tiler. We're having a little bit of trouble under Auckland level 3 and 4, in fact, when it did happen, of getting the tiles out of Auckland. We've been told they're going to be delivered on the 18th of October. Our opening for the pools are November the 27th, Saturday, 26th or 27th on the Saturday. So we are a little concerned about that. Payne Farm Cottage, I know that's quite on the Martinborough Community Board high list. So both properties are in good order. We are continually doing internal, standard tenant going in and checking on things. We had the buildings all washed. Grounds are very well maintained. And regarding the farm, today, it's not in the report. We've gone over the farm, and there will be a farm report in near future for the board. So we're doing that on all our major farms. We are doing big reports on all the major farms for all the community boards. So you guys are kept into play. Martinborough Playground, we will be, the trust had some money donated to them. It's not on the report here, but again, there's going to be more planting in the Martinborough Playground, and so that's quite good. So that'll just freshen it up a bit, particularly over by the toilet area. In that area, we have a problem with the climbing gym that's there. We found some faults with some of the in our weekly inspections, so we've just closed that, unfortunately, but we're waiting for the parts to arrive. The Section 17, which is quite a district-wide thing, we have done the tenders and received and evaluated the tenders. We have a supplier that we've chosen, but we will announce that later on. We're still in final discussions. For Martinborough, we've had a seat donated also to Martinborough since I wrote this report. That'll be going into the closed Waihinga Centre. That's been donated by one of the Martinborough residents, which is very nice. And seeing if there's anything else in Martinborough. And so over the years, as you know, that I get amenities get a CapEx budget, and this money is set for amenities for CapEx, and sometimes over the last few years you just haven't quite able to spend it all. So we've managed to look at what's left, and so we are installing 3 barbecues, and 1 in each pool to complement the after hours. So families can go there in the evenings and actually cook dinner for them. They're gas barbecues, they're bolted down. They are public barbecues. You just can't throw a normal barbecue in there. It's illegal. So these are top of the range barbecues. Now if they're not used, as I'm stating there, we'll monitor the usage, and if we feel they're not being used, we'll look at putting them in other parks around the districts, in the towns. But I have a feeling that they will be used. There was quite a good feedback to the CLM, the lifeguards, and that it would be great if you had a barbecue. So we listened to that. I think that's it. Seniors are running well. Waste management. I've had to get Martinborough transfer station up to a standard that's acceptable. So we've had to, obviously the road was a shocker. If you ever went down there, so that's been completed. We've had to put concrete pads under the glass recycling bins. That's another compliant. Oil drums, we now accept oil at Martinborough. That we never used to do that officially. So we've now got those. They've arrived, and they have to be covered in a covered shed. And very briefly read through the Murph in Masterton. That's where all our recycling goes. It's a wonderful place. Unfortunately, they had a fire there about a month ago, and it's just they should be up and running again now. There was a fire there, and mainly it was roof damage. So they had to put everything on hold and get everything fixed. But this is probably the most sophisticated Murph in New Zealand by far. And it is, if you ever have a chance to go and see that, and I can organise it if you like, to see it in action, it's pretty cool. And that basically takes a lot of manpower out, and we are able to sell what we can, and nearly 99% of it is sold now. So that's really good. Yeah, so that's it. It's just we are busy. You'll get another report soon for the next meeting, and you'll see how busy we really are. It was a little bit of a quiet couple of months lately because of the fact that we're struggling to get products, to be honest. It takes 3 months, 4 months. Like, we haven't even got the Greytown playground equipment that I ordered 3 months ago. It's just taking a long time for the stuff to arrive.
Yeah.
All right. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Harry.
Thanks, Bryce.
Thank you, Bill.
That's great.
Thanks very much. Bryce, sorry, Harry, did you want to add to the report, or? Yeah.
Nothing. I'm just happy to take any questions, further questions.
Okay, great. Aidan.
Madam Chair, through you. Bryce, that barbecue, is that essentially the same as the barbecue that's been installed in the park in front of Waiinga Centre?
Yes, yep. I'm actually getting a sign made up for that. So I'm getting 4 signs made up for them to actually say free for community use. A lot of people actually don't know what they are.
Okay.
Will they have little instructions on them?
Yeah, they do actually have instructions on them. Yeah, they do, yeah.
Would they be suitable and durable enough to be installed in coastal environments? Because I think 2 or 3 meetings ago we had Jenny
Boyne did. Yep.
speak to us about the coastline out there and for lack of facilities. Would that be an option or a possibility?
Well, they're stainless steel, Aidan, quite good quality stainless steel. They are very expensive, and very expensive. I was shocked. In fact, I rang another council who've got them just to check that I wasn't being ripped off, and they laughed at me when they said, no, that's how much they cost. Oh, okay.
Would there be opportunities to bulk buy with other councils to try and get that pricing down?
I'm doing a deal with the company at the moment that if I use them, they'll give me like bonus points, like a coffee card type thing. So we're trying to negotiate that. They don't really negotiate the price, but they'll give us extras. So I've actually done a deal with that company. Yep. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. I know where you're going with this, Aidan, and I will try and look at that. And I just have to make sure as I said, this is old CapEx money that was sitting there that I've got rid of. I will look at the reserves. Yeah. I'm more concerned about vandalism more than anything.
Or in combination with you or with council might be able to help fund, and which will benefit the community.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Nathan, you had something too?
Yeah. Bryce, the transfer station. So the upgrade to the entrance.
Yeah.
And the concrete pad and that. So who foot the bill for that?
We did.
Okay.
That's part of us. It's not Earthcare.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't worry, mate. I'll check the contract on that.
And then what have been? Oh yeah. No, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, we are going to upgrade the signage as well. We're just waiting on a few things. That's become a bit of a hot topic. We know about it. It's the miscommunication with Masterton. We thought Masterton were going to help us out there with a bulk thing, but Masterton have gone for the electric. You can change it on the screen like a movie theatre, what tells you what's coming up next. So they've gone that way. So we are getting in the signs upgraded.
Okay.
And the so what time do the pools close? Was it 6:30 or
7:30?
7:30. Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, the barbecues will be a good.
Yes. Yeah. And that's just feedback from the lifeguards when we have our meetings with CLM who run our pools.
Yeah.
That was some of the feedback they got. So I thought, well, we'll give it a crack. I looked at putting electrical ones on there because I know gas is expensive. It's going to become expensive, but it's the portability. If it doesn't work out, we can just pull them out.
Yeah, walk away. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, Aidan, as your point about out on the coast, difficult to find somewhere where there's power.
Okay, great. Pam, you had a question. Did you still have a?
It was actually, thank you, Madam Chair. It really was a comment. Bryce made the offer that community board members, he would be able to arrange a visit to Masterton to see the Smurf sorry, not Smurf, a Murph in action. Smurf, like tiny little thing. Murph in action, and I would recommend if he could, the date suits, that you go along and have a look. It is an absolutely amazing piece of machinery. And well done on your report, Bryce. It's very good.
Yeah,
it's a team. That's a team thing, mate. I don't write all that. I do some of it, but my team did a lot of it.
Yeah. I know. Great.
Okay.
Did anyone else have any questions for Harry or Bryce or any of the officers? I just had the actually no, that's okay. No, that's fine. Did anyone else? Sorry, before we move on, so I think we'll move on to our action items report. If members don't have any more questions on the officer's report. Yeah. Okay. Great. So then we'll move on to item 8.5, which is pages 164 to 169 in our agenda. Okay. Do I have a mover to receive the report? Thank you, Aidan. And do I have a seconder? Thank you, Nathan. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Great. And the motion is carried. Now, did anyone have any updates or questions in relation to the open action items? Pam? Oh, Pam, you're on mute.
Thank you. Sorry about that. The action 584, which has been a long outstanding one. I hope you have all seen the new bus stop, which is looking absolutely fabulous. It has some most beautiful patterns on the glasswork, which reflect our area and is absolutely amazing. So I would like to move that we close that item, please. and I think we need to write to Greater Wellington and commend them on what they put in as a new bus shelter. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Great work on that too, Pam, on like seeing it right through to completion. Yeah, excellent.
No, it's really good. And I'm sure Bryce has had some input into that as well. So thanks to him. I've taken some photos, so I'll shoot those through to Aidan, and he might like to put those on your Facebook page. Yeah.
Great. Oh, would you share them with all of us, Pam? Just so that we
sure.
can.
Yeah,
awesome.
Absolutely.
Pam, I think it's the community board Facebook page.
Yeah. Sorry, did I? I meant that.
Mel.
Yeah. Yeah, Nate.
Yeah. In regard to action item 731.
What page are we on, mate?
168.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Andy Shaw has been in contact with Mate Higginson, and in the next week, Andy will have something for us to have a look at. So he's got some really, really great information from Mate. They both enjoyed each other's time. So yeah, I look forward to seeing what Andy can, or Andy and Mate have got for us. So yeah, that's open, but hopefully that'll be closed in the future shortly.
Okay. Great. Thanks very much for that, Nathan. Did anyone else have any? Oh, actually, no. Nathan, did you want to give us an update on the flag stock take?
Yep. Yeah. So long awaited. We finally got a stock take of the flags from Charlotte and the Martinborough Business Association. So there's a couple of events coming up. The Martinborough Music, and then provisionally, well, both of them, depending on the restrictions, the COVID restrictions, Toast. So I'm sort of making a plan to get the events and the slots for the flags to go up. But I've received a stock take of the flags, but more flags coming. So yeah, I don't have a lot to add about that at the moment, but yeah.
The love local ones that we were looking at, there's enough of those a set, or?
Yes, there is, and they could probably do the clean. So I'll go to the friendly.
Only when you come on with the laundromat.
Laundromat and get those tidied up. So yeah, we're there is still plenty of life in the love local flags, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
They just need a clean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just have a quick look. That was my thing. It's actually quite good. There's been a lot of action moved. One of the things, I don't know why I thought it was on the action items, but it was just around it's not on there.
Madam Chair, through you.
Yes, Aidan.
Harry, action item 190 on page 168. That revolved around some of the road safety things that were raised last year. And I'm just wondering as to whether I think, was it last month? I'm just losing track. There was that press release about extra funding coming through from Waka Kotahi for low risk, low cost measures. Would some of those projects or some of those items which were addressed in action item 190 and then have been recommended to ANS by Assets and Services Committee, would some of those things or some of those projects be able to be moved on?
Look, I'll have to dig into them. It's not new money. In a sense, the money we put in a bid to Waka Kotahi. It looked for two things: maintenance and improvements on the local road networks. We were initially advised that we weren't going to be getting the range of maintenance funding that we'd asked for, and similarly, we didn't get the amount of funding for improvement that we asked for. They subsequently upped the amounts, but we still didn't get everything we asked for. But there's certainly some of that work is programs like the pedestrian crossing reviews and upgrades. That's definitely on in the program. I'll just have to check the other ones and get back to you.
Great. The request, because the request too that we had there about the investigation into the shoulders of the square that we made. Sorry.
But Mel, there was a report that was put up to Assets and Services that listed the actions and what was possible and so forth. Why don't I circulate that to the and circulate that, so just remind what where things were programmed, but also I could answer the same question in terms of could some of those be done within the budgets that Aidan raised. So I'm going to circulate that report, because that was a specific report that took all the things that you were asking for, and there was commentary about what and how it could be done.
Yes, yeah, and particularly around this, that was great. Thank you. Okay.
Be great, thanks.
I just want to check. I just want to clarify for the minutes, for the letter about the bus stop to Greater Wellington Regional Council. That Pam, did you want that to be recorded as a new action?
No, definitely not. No.
No, not as a new action, but just we'll get a letter out to them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Great. And were there any other updates from anyone? Great. Well, we'll move on then to the income and expenditure report, which is pages 170 to 174. Do I have a mover to receive the draft income and expenditure statement for the period ending 31 August 2021? Thank you, Pam. And do I have a seconder? Please raise your hand. Thank you, Nathan. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Okay, the motion is carried. Okay, have a did anyone have any questions regarding for officers around the income and expenditure statement? Okay. Fantastic. If nobody's got any questions, we'll just move right along then to the Chair's report. Now, do I have a mover first to receive the Chair report? Thank you, Nathan. And do I have a seconder?
Oh,
thank you, Pam. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Okay, the motion is carried.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, just before you go back to that, start on that, could we go back to the income and expenditure for the period to the 31st of August?
Absolutely.
It's just under personnel and operating costs. What's the mileage? Is that something that's, it says budget, but so personnel and operating costs is the budget. Harry, the mileage, is that, then we've got further down that page, we've got the communications reimbursement. So Steph, can you answer that? I see you pop come through.
I was just going to say that last time when we checked on that, it was we were told that it was the communications allowance, and then it was going to be updated. So I'll just see to that being updated for next time. Sorry about that.
Lovely, thank you. Thanks, Mel.
Okay. Great. Alrighty then. So we've already moved and accepted the Chair report. So the first topic that I have on there was rates, and I'm just, I think, so the first thing that we are asking is whether or not there has been any update regarding, holding public meetings on rates from this week compared to last week. So last week it was within the next 5 weeks. So now we're at 4 weeks, and I'm just wondering what the plan, if there is a plan, or what's happening there with that, if there's any updates.
Yeah, dates have been set. So I'll ask Steph to circulate those to all.
Great, fantastic.
We've also put out a notice with the in the rates letters advising people. We haven't been able to be specific about the dates, but we do have them now, and we'll be informing everyone at the same time.
Oh, okay, so that's coming up. That's not something you can tell us tonight.
Oh, I just circulated because it also affects Greytown and Featherston, so I want to advise everyone together. But
okay. Are there individual meetings in each town?
Yes,
though?
and there will be a rural meeting. We're just trying to sort out what. In fact, we want to have a rural meeting. So, in fact, we could your guidance, and not so right now, but if you've got an idea about where the appropriate location for a rural meeting in the Martinborough ward could be held, we would really appreciate that advice.
Okay. Okay.
Madam,
Does anyone? Yes,
Madam Chair, through you, Harry. I noticed that this week there's been a council meeting scheduled, I think, for the 27th of October to discuss rates.
Yep.
I think that date was originally going to be an Assets and Services Committee meeting, but the timings have been changed for a council meeting.
Yes, so I can't remember if I mentioned it last time. So for the public meeting, council's got to have a position it wants to take in terms of what we put out in the editorial around our options to either reduce or to manage rates, and also information around what we do for people in hardship. So council's going to have that extraordinary meeting to get its position, to take out to the public meetings, get communities' feedback, and they'll be able to make a final decision at the 17th of November meeting. I think I mentioned that last time, but I didn't. I apologise.
Okay.
Yeah, you certainly mentioned the November meeting. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course it'll be a public meeting, so so people will be able to hear that as well prior to the public meetings.
Right.
And would people be able to submit to that 27 October meeting?
It would just be the normal public participation.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a submission process. I mean, that's the purpose of the meetings, is to hear from the members of the community. But council needs to be able to say, look, this we've considered the options, and this is have a position, essentially. It's not, yeah. That otherwise, what we'd be talking to the public about.
Yeah.
Thanks, Harry.
Right. That's great. And so the next topic that I had on there was the, did anyone else have any questions around the rates or rates meeting? Sorry. Okay, great. So topic number 2 is the Martinborough District Road Safety. Do I have a mover to request that council officers give us an update on when the meeting will be held in Hinakura with Hinakura residents to discuss roads? I know we were just talking about the
Madam Chair,
information.
Recall we discussed that. I was
Yep.
just saying Stefan's just getting his feet under the table. We're definitely going to have that, but he needs to be over it so we can actually be able to talk to it. But equally, what the community want to see is a timeline, not just the steps that need to be taken.
Yep.
So we will have one. It's just a matter of getting that prepared.
Okay, and so it's not far away. It's just preparation.
Oh, it shouldn't be too far away at all.
Okay, great. Oh, it's great news. Great news. Tuesday. Okay. So,
Mel, yeah.
Yeah, sure, Nathan.
Hey, just in regard to the district road safety, I had a little bit of time and went on the NZTA website and got some of the crash analysis road data for Martinborough, which is readily available for anyone to have a look at, and it's really interesting. It shows where accidents occur, or where accidents have occurred, in regard to, say, the Kitchener Street, Princess Street corner. I'm not sure the span of time, but there's been at least 10 accidents on that intersection. And this is just information I've managed to get off the internet with a little bit of time, and so when we're talking about road safety, these sort of things I'm hoping are taken into consideration to make our community safer, because that's what we're all here for.
Yeah.
Okay. Just thought I'd like to add that in.
Thanks, Nathan. Hey, you wouldn't be able to send through like a link or something to that, just so you can all have a play with it or something again?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, great. Thanks, Nathan.
Yeah. It wouldn't show the near misses though.
No.
All the times too, when people have just gone and fixed it, hauled the car out or done whatever and fixed the fences and things like that, which we all know happens all the time as well. Great. So we'll move on now to the Tawaiti and North Tora campgrounds. So we've had Clem speak this morning as well. Sorry, this evening as well. Just around some of the I guess information and what has been seen, what we can receive, what is actually out there. I would like to make a recommendation or to a request for council to provide us with a report on the advice and risk assessments that we use to close the Toa campground for overnight camping and Te Awaiti campgrounds. Information on how just how that decision was made, what the implications will now be for the communities out there, and of course next steps that are available to everyone for us to move on. I mean, at the moment we're just sitting here, this has happened, there's no information, no advice, so we need to get some really robust information to our table. So that is the recommendation that I would like to make to come from this, would be to seek a report from council officers to advise what the risk assessments and information we use to close the Toa campground, and to inform the decision that has been made. Following that, what now are the implications for camping, for campers, for the community out there, and of course, what are the next steps? What do we do about this now? So,
well, I think that's an excellent idea, and very, very happy. I was going to suggest just that. So, but yeah, that's great. Happy to talk about that.
Yeah, yeah, Aidan.
So, Harry, could I ask? And I emailed earlier on this week. Could we ask that the information? Can you share the information that you have with us, i.e., your legal advice, the advice that you received from Dr. Mike Reid? Can we receive that by the end of this week, so that then we have some information, and we are then able to understand the information that you've received, and communicate with that with the community by the end of this week?
No, I'd prefer to do a comprehensive report that puts all the information together. I think that makes a lot more sense. The outline of the reasons for the decisions.
Can we have that as soon as possible? Because if we are going to be waiting for another 6 weeks for our next community board meeting, it just is
summer.
And it's
what I heard from the chair was a request for a comprehensive report with all the information, which I'm really happy to provide. I think it's a good idea. I think it's just getting little bits of information is not particularly helpful. People just need to look at it all in context. So, my advice is to follow the recommendation from the chair.
Yeah. Are we able to, though, Harry, just to see the legal advice that you received between Thursday and Friday, that meant that you could no longer take into consideration the options that were discussed on Thursday night? I mean, I think that's sort of what.
So look, please, I'm not trying to make an excuse here, but the moment that the legal advice goes to you, it does not attach privilege, and it doesn't. It's confidential. And remember, it relates to my personal liability as well. So this isn't just the liability of council; it is my personal liability under the Workplace Safety and Health Act. So I just need to review it and make sure it's safe to place in a public arena for that purpose.
So
agreed, Harry. Yeah, agreed.
Yep.
It definitely does need to have that overview on it.
Some oversight over it.
Oh. And to be perfectly honest, Harry, your offer of doing the review of the report, one of Aidan's questions was a timeline around that. I understand that you're busy with the audit and things like that, and then your report that needs to be done as well. But if you could sort of give an indication of when that report might be available, is it between now and the next community board meeting, or would that be at the next community board meeting?
So I thought the request was for it to be tabled at the community board meeting, as a report to the community board.
Right,
Is-
okay. I was
Well-
just clarifying what your thoughts were so that Mel and Aidan and
Because
Nathan
I think
say what their
again, it's that timeliness, isn't it? Like this whole thing was pushed to, you know, the very nth degree around we must get this decision made before Labour weekend, and I feel like 6 weeks is so close and actually puts us into camping time there in the campground. So just wondering, Harry, if there is a way for that information just to be presented to the community board earlier, like just for us to be able to have that information to receive. Is that possible? Or can we only ask for it to come to the table?
No. We can table that outside, but it doesn't. Of course, it only goes into the public arena when it's tabled at the community board.
Yeah.
So yeah, just bear in mind the next major priority is the rates meetings and the public meetings and all those types of things.
That's still the number one priority.
You know, so there's a lot going on in this period of time as well.
Yeah.
The outline of my decision. I've you know, the guts of it is as I've described to you on the as I've explained to you. And there is information on the website that shows the flood maps and a summary of the information that is for the public to understand.
Oh, that had some incorrect information on it. It had some, it was saying that the recommendations were made by Greater Wellington Regional Council, and I think that was one of the things Clem was referring to. No,
what Clem referred to was that decisions, he used the word decisions, not recommendations. It's very clear, and I can send you, is the recommendations from the Greater Wellington Regional Council. I can send that to you. So just to put you at mind. That would be great, because they were at our meeting saying we do not make recommendations, and we have not made recommendations. So the Greater Wellington said that at our meeting. So if you've got those recommendations, would be great. Yeah, absolutely. Well, to correct that, remember that Graham made that comment prior to the break, and then he came back and clarified that they had made recommendations. So just for the record, they did actually confirm at the meeting they'd made recommendations. But look, I'll send it to you so there's no avoidance of doubt.
Okay. Yep. Perfect. That sounds perfect then, Harry.
Through you, Madam Chair.
Yeah, sure, Aidan.
Harry, in the intervening days since our Thursday meeting, have you had any information from Greater Wellington Regional Council about that modelling that Graham talked that they were able to do to work out what rainfall events or what rainfall levels would generate a 1 in 100 year flood in those catchments?
That's right. He said that he was getting that through.
Yeah. Yes, I have had that. Sorry, I didn't realise he hadn't sent it to you guys. I'll forward it.
Oh, that would be great too. Thank you, Harry.
Thanks.
Excellent. Did anyone else have anything regarding this that they wish to talk to Harry?
So no? Sorry, I imagine you've probably already covered it, Harry, but I think you were cutting out when you were covering it, and I didn't get it. So how soon would we be able to receive that information?
Sorry, which information, Aidan? In terms of the Greater Wellington stuff, I could email that to you tomorrow.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Aidan, you're cutting out.
You're frozen. Sorry, Aidan, you're back now. What was that?
I did hear you talk, Harry, about privilege for the legal advice, but also wondering about information from Local Government New Zealand, Dr. Mike Reid.
Mike didn't reply to me for some known reason, but I sent you, I sent Aidan, sent some information Local Government New Zealand did provide to me, and I gave you a copy of that. Well, I can send you the whole email, but that's the extract. Well, it's all in the email that I sent to Aidan, Mel.
Okay. Are you able to send that to the rest of us as well? Just Harry, so we've all got just the same information.
Yep, sure.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So can I just then ask if if we can then just finalise and ask again if I can make the motion to request for a report on advice and all risk assessments that we use in the decision making of the closure of the Tora and TRYT campgrounds, how the decision was made, what the implications are for the community, and what are the next steps. Do I have a mover to accept that recommendation? Thank you, Nathan. And do I have a seconder? Do I have a seconder for that motion? Thank you, Aidan. Okay, the motion is carried. So we'll just, then we just, the only other thing that I had on my chair's report was.
I just need you to put the motion to the vote. So asking all those in
favor. Sorry. If everyone can please, all those in favour, please raise your hand.
I couldn't hear properly, Mel. What's the motion, please?
Oh, okay. Sorry, let me just grab that again. So, was to request for a report on the advice and risk assessments that were undertaken and used to close the Tora and TRYT campground, how the decision was made, what the implications are for the wider community and next steps.
Okay, thank you.
Great. So can I have all those in favour to raise their hand? Great. The motion is carried. So the only other thing was just around the Three Waters reform and whether or not there was any update that we could have regarding what the status is for that for council.
Mel, why don't I send you, so we did I did a comprehensive report to the assets and services on the state of the play for the Three Waters. So there's as far as we know what was going on nationally, and that since then there's been no, sorry. So that's an update of what the legal frameworks and regulatory and all the things that are being proposed and what some of the implications are for us. Then up till the 1st of October, there was an 8-week period where we were, as a council, asked to forward questions to Department of Internal Affairs for things that we wanted an answer to before we could go and just to get answers to some of the questions. There's as much we don't know as we do know.
Yeah.
So we know what the government is proposing, but we don't know what the implications are. So the report I can send to you, it's on our website, and the questions that we sent down to the Department of Internal Affairs are also on our website, but I can send those to you as well. And right now we just had an acknowledgement they've received them, but you imagine there's 67 councils that are asking all these questions. It'd be fair to say that, and you'll also see the council's position as described by me as the chief executive and by the mayor we released to the media. Was on, I think it was on the weekend, which is a pretty clear statement about where I and Alex stand. But of course, council's not ready to make any decisions until it has all the information about whether it's to opt in or opt out. Right now, it's gathering information, and it'd be fair to say that council's fairly it's struggling with the information it's got to make a decision.
Yeah. Okay. Aidan?
Harry, when is there a decision expected by the government from council? What's that timeline?
Well, they've indicated, I'll have to check, I think it's November. I do have an email from them saying they've got it and they hope to get back to us. I think it's November, Aidan. But I'll have to get back to you. I think that's it.
Okay.
So their expectation is that councils all over New Zealand supply their decision. Oh, sorry, questions.
No, their questions, and then that comes back. So they're not asking councils for a decision about where they stand or what. It literally is what are the questions that we can help you with. Is the
Right,
theory.
okay.
Theory. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
Through you, Madam Chair.
Yeah, sure, Nate.
Just a question for Harry. How much money has the South Rifle District Council been given so far to explore the Three Waters reform?
None.
Nothing?
No. Hold on. No, actually, that's not entirely fair. So we received, very early on when the government was considering the Three Waters, they asked councils to a non-binding MOU, just saying that they would engage with government with goodwill and so forth. One of the things they gave all councils was a lump of money based on population, rural land area. So it's a population rural formula. We got 2.8 million. That's called stimulus funding. And of course, Wellington Water as our agent have programmed that and are spending that. In fact, we've just done a couple of media articles explaining where that's all up to, etc. But part of that was some funding for all of the councils to employ Dougal List, who we use to help us with information and provide, act as a conduit. So we're all sharing information on what we do. So yes, there's a bit of funding, but it's in a cooperative bucket with the other councils in Wellington Water.
Okay, thank you. So the South Rifle District Council has been given $2.8 million already to explore this.
No. Sorry, no. The 2.8 million was for works and services. So there's
for our infrastructure,
pipes for
pipes.
yeah, and all that type of stuff. Yeah, but there's a very little bit. I can't remember exactly what the amount was. That people agreed to take out of the stimulus funding to put into making sure that we're all working cooperatively and we're empowering some expertise to actually pull reports and letters and things together.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Excellent. Did anyone else have any questions about the Three Waters? Sorry, every time I get a big grin, it's because I see Alex, and it's just you're so patient. There we go. Now, great. Well, because that is the end of the chair report. So we're just going to move now to correspondence and outwards correspondence. So our last meeting, we organised for this letter to go to Alan Hogg and Dudley Ann Hill from the Martinborough Business Association regarding the Winterfest idea being explored for Martinborough. So do I have a mover to note that this correspondence? Thank you, Nathan. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Pam. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Great. Motion is carried. Nobody had any questions around that letter? Everyone's happy? Fantastic. Well, with there being no further business, I declare then that this meeting of the Martinborough Community Board is now closed. Thanks everyone for your time this evening.